this time on the Serve to Perform podcast.
You know, we're really big at Cox on talking about owning your own development. And, you have to, as an individual, no matter what level you are, you have to be inspired. You have to be empowered to own your own development. But sometimes what we find is people don't even necessarily know how to do that.
Yeah.
So, again,
welcome back to the Serve to Perform podcast, and welcome back to another client relationship episode. So today we have Ms. Whitney Yoder with us. Whitney, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So Whitney's from Cox. So tell us a little bit about what you do with Cox Communications.
Yeah, for sure. So at Cox, I'm the public affairs manager for the Arkansas market. So I manage all of the employee engagement, charitable giving in the community, community relations, and really find ways to express our brand through community partners.
That's awesome. Awesome. Yeah. So you guys have been really focused on inclusion, right? Inclusion initiatives, and that's why you engaged us with a client relationship. And so that's how we kind of started working together, and that's how our client relationship was born. And so you and Kurt Stamp both started work with Latin XNA as well, and that's how we kind of met you guys and kind of got hooked up, I guess you could say, in our client relationship and got to know you guys a little bit better, and then you guys got to know us a little bit better to figure out how we could help you guys specifically with our services. So how has Latin XNA impacted Cox? Let's talk about that a little bit in terms of like workplace growth.
Absolutely. Well, it has been really impactful, and we're still going to be realizing the full impacts for a while now. Like you said, Kurt and I did get connected with your organization. I think it was September of 2020. Mm-hmm. And just hearing about the deep strategic work that you all are doing to elevate, engage, and empower Latino talent in Northwest Arkansas really spoke to us and aligned with our own brand. And like you said, of course, we have deep inclusion efforts at Cox and have for many years. And so thought it was a great space for us to build a relationship. As we were really thinking about what that could look like, and we came on board as a programming sponsor for 2021 programming, you guys were working on making everything virtual because of the world that we're living in.
Yeah.
And so I really got to thinking about that and recognizing that we had a real opportunity internally at Cox to bring this programming to more frontline employees.
Yeah.
So because it's virtual, we are able to engage different types of employees that traditionally might not have been able to come to a program at 11 o'clock on a Friday in Bentonville, for example. So we actually took our partnership and said, okay, we have got, X number of spaces to attend programming throughout this year. And we built what we're calling as our Cox cohort.
Okay.
And again, these are employees, frontline employees, technicians, retail store workers, people in Cox business, just a real diverse group of employees who are moving through this year of programming together. And we put together a core team internally to then wrap more programming around them. So it's not just the Latin XNA. We do that. We do the quarterly program. Yeah. And then the following week, we bring the Cox cohort together for reflections, provide them with various other internal tools for Cox with development that parallels the talk that they just experienced through the Latin XNA session.
Yeah, that's so awesome, and that's something that obviously has been a big part of our business here at Serve to Perform. When everything happened with COVID and we realized, oh man, what are we going to do? And we had to all switch virtually. I actually was not full-time during that time, so I was more of a contractor position, and I vividly remember being in conversations and having conversations of how do we do our work and how do we do it intentionally, but how do we do it virtually? And to really have that intentionality factor of it, right? And to have the interactive factor of it is a big deal too, because you can look, it's one thing to look through a screen and feel like you're involved, but it's another thing to really be gaining something from a session. And so for you guys to say that that has really been implemented into your own business now and into Cox is something that's huge for us, to be able to say that we kind of showed the way a little bit, to kind of show that we could do it, you can do it, everybody out there can do it, which is something that Adam Arroyos, our CEO, talks a lot about, is that's where our world is headed now. Our world is headed more digital. And so how do we maneuver through being more digital? So moving on into the Latin XNA side of things a little bit more. So what is Cox doing to diversify the workplace, diversify who they're bringing in, who you're bringing in employment, and advance Latino talent or any talent at all?
Yeah, well, I mean, of course, like we said earlier, we have a lot of initiatives company-wide, and it's really being intentional, like you just mentioned, on that front end when we do have openings. And when, I'll speak specifically for the Arkansas market. When we do have different types of openings, what's the kind of outreach that we do? How are we making sure that we've got a diverse group of people applying so that our workforce does reflect the market that we're serving? So, I think being part of Latin XNA is a big part of that, making sure that we're connecting with other local organizations throughout Northwest Arkansas who can help kind of feed us that talent pipeline. And then, of course, once they're inside the doors of Cox, we are a huge company that has a lot of internal programs and support to make sure that we're developing that talent pipeline and making sure that people have opportunities. And our involvement with Latin XNA and the way that we've kind of structured the program has really helped with our efforts here in Arkansas. Like I said, we've got that Cox cohort of 8 employees who, some have worked here for 15 years, some have worked here for 2 years. They're in all different departments. They didn't even know each other. So just creating that environment for them to network together and to share experiences. And of course, what we find, development is different to everyone, right? So that doesn't necessarily mean that you want to get a promotion or you want to move to a different department. You might just want to be a better employee in the role that you're in. Yeah. And programs like this are really empowering those employees to do that.
For sure. And that's something we talk a lot about too, right? Bridging the gap, whether that be bridging the gap from me to you of understanding or communication or anything, bridging the gap between me and my coworkers and within my team specifically. We talk a lot about how can we have everybody beside each other? How can we not have somebody behind us, not somebody in front of us? And that's a reoccurring theme because that's so important in today's world, so important in today's communications and today's workforce in general. If I can't work with a team member, how do I make that happen? How do I bridge that gap? And so it's so impactful to be able to say that you guys have been able to really realize that is something, huge and something that's huge for even your frontline people, like you mentioned.
Yeah,
right?
Well, and it's so, bridging the gap is so important. We're really big at Cox on talking about owning your own development. And, you have to, as an individual, no matter what level you are, you have to be inspired. You have to be empowered to own your own development. But sometimes what we find is people don't even necessarily know how to do that. Yeah. So again, us even creating this Cox cohort program within Latin XNA is really helping, kind of putting that hand out to say, hey, here, come along, let us help you. Here's how you can think about your own development and develop what that means to you. And then we're here to help you build the pathway that you need to be successful in that.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk a little bit about your relationship, how Cox has gotten along with SERVE2PERFORM. So tell us how the experience has been working with us specifically, with our team and with our culture.
I mean, so far, so good. It's been great. Like I said, I think we initially got engaged with you in September of 2020, so I would say we're still young in our relationship.
Yep.
But you guys have been fantastic. Just, again, the work that you're doing, and immediately when I got connected to the Latin XNA program and really understood what was going on, it is deep strategic work that is helping to move the needle. Yeah. And so I look forward to our continued partnership and involvement to really continue to mold what that means for us and how we can leverage your expertise and your network for the benefit of our own workforce.
So as a Primo sponsor for Latin XNA, you have people involved, right? You have people involved that are within Cox Communication. I mean, you and Kurt Stamp, like you mentioned, are involved as well. So let's talk a little bit about who's involved specifically from Cox Communications and what they do.
Yeah, of course. Well, you already mentioned myself and Kurt, we're just grateful to be on the Executive Advisory Council. And then we built the Cox cohort that's moving through the year of employees. But then we're also able to engage Luz Chavez. She's the manager of our retail store in Fayetteville.
Okay.
And she was just prime for an opportunity. So she's actually serving on your SEAL team.
Yeah.
And that's been a great experience for her. And how that ties back to then the internal program that we've created, Luz, because of her involvement on the SEAL team and her knowledge of what's going on there, then she is the leader and facilitator of our Cox cohort. So when we have those follow-up sessions the week after, that's Luz's playground right there. She's managing and facilitating those conversations with the Cox cohort. So all in all, I mean, we've really got some deep involvement with what's going on, and we're just proud to be able to leverage the partnership.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much, Whitney, for being able to speak to what we are doing here with you guys and our client relationship at Cox, and just being able to really spearhead and really want to push executive coaching, diversity, inclusion, all of the things that we are working with you on. We genuinely appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.